Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Relationship Circle podcast. I'm your host, Beck Thompson, and this podcast is all about showing you how to stop running in circles, ditch those dating games, and let your inner compass lead the way. Today, we have on the podcast Kylie Dennis. Welcome, Kylie.
Hi, Beck. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm going to introduce you so everyone knows how fabulous you are. So Kylie is a dedicated private investigator specializing in uncovering romance scams and protecting individuals from online dating fraud. So this is so different. I haven't had anything like this before, and I'm so excited. She investigates suspicious profiles, identifies stolen images, and educates potential victims through educational presentations and victim story sharing. Her mission is to eradicate romance scams through education and awareness. So good. So needed.
Perfect.
Thank you for doing this work. As I was reading your bio before jumping onto this episode, I really was interested in how you got into this work. So I'd love to hear a bit of background from you and how you got into doing this.
Bit of left of field, isn't it? So I like to sort of start the story by putting a bit of a background. So it was a nice hot summer's afternoon on a Sunday afternoon.
Sounds like a good scam.
Just popped a glass of Chardonnay. And so my mum rang me, which wasn't unusual for a Sunday. And I went, oh, well, I'll just, reach out. And she was so I answered the phone and she was so excited. And she said, oh, guess what? And I went, oh, yeah, what? Glug, having a wine. I've met somebody. And I went, well, that's fabulous. And my mum had been single for over 20 years. And so I said, well, tell me a bit about him. She said he's 69. He's about to retire. His name's Donald. He lives in Sydney and he's got a company, but he's currently in Turkey, in Istanbul, doing a contract for a gas pipeline contract and is about to finish that contract. So I said, oh, well, that's fine. Didn't think twice about it. And as I kept talking to her, I said to her, so, have you met him? And she said, no. How long have you been dating or speaking to him? She said 6 months. And that sort of started the alarm bells ringing. Mm. So then I said to her, okay, how about you send me some photos? So she sent me some photos. She sent me 5 photos. And when I looked at one of them, I went, damn, he ain't 69 years of age. He looks like he's in his very early 50s and very fit young man. And I went, I've got some real concerns here. What does he want from my mum, who was 78 at the time? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I went off and did a bit of digging, and a couple of hours later I came back and I'd found out that the photos belonged to a real estate agent in California, married. Wasn't in Turkey, wasn't an Australian businessman. And it was at that time I realised that mum was a victim of a romance scam. So then I had to ring her and break her heart in a zillion pieces.
Oh, wow.
And then sort of start that process of trying to explain to her what this was, because she had invested so much time with him. She'd invested 6 months. And it's interesting because I can reflect back on that time. Mum was really happy. Mum was sort of, doing other things and busy, and she was sleeping in more. So she was, up later at night talking to the scammer. So there's a lot of, red flags that I didn't see until I reflected back and went, okay. And that's sort of how that all started. And then what happened that week is that I drove because I'm down in the Illawarra, drove to Sydney, which takes about an hour and a half, and my husband was driving, so I decided to go online dating, and I started to realise how many fake profiles were actually on the apps. And I went, okay, how many people are out there, being victims of a romance scam? What can I do to help them? And that's sort of how this all started.
Wow. And how's your mum now?
Yeah. Mum's great.
Okay, good.
Mum's actually found a real life person, so that's even better on a dating app. So the dating apps do work,
Wow.
So she's really happy. But it did take her, I'd say it took her 2 weeks for her to really have that light bulb moment to say, maybe my daughter is telling me the truth.
Wow.
But then I would say it took her a couple of months to really get over it. There was still that shame and embarrassment, all those emotions. So
Yeah. So tell me about profiles, fake profiles. What do people need to look out for to spot a fake profile? Like, how would they know?
See, this is where it's getting harder now.
Okay.
If you had asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said to you, they look perfect. You know, they look like as if you've just done a photo shoot, you know, that type of photos, but I'm not seeing that. Well, they are still like that, you know, that perfect person. It's now not, we can't look at the photos because there's so much AI and there's so much stuff that we can even touch up our own photos to make us look fabulous. So it's now not that, it's now more content within the dating app.
Okay.
And then the discussions that we have, you know, once we start engaging with that person.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, look, you sort of get that gut feeling. Like I always say, you know, I go onto a dating app now and I look at some photos because I still go on as my, I have a fake profile using my photo. So a fake name. And I go on and I can sort of pick out the ones that look really, the photos look fabulous and I think, okay, I will check them and then I can report them. That's fake, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake. But some of the ones that aren't like that, I then have to still go in and go, oh my goodness, they've actually been able to take something from a family photo barbecue and, you know, create that fake profile.
Yeah.
So it is getting harder. And, you know, with AI too, that has another difficulty as well.
Yeah, of course. So, like, are they generally after money? Like, what are they after when they're trying to scam people?
Well, they just want money. That's their,
yeah.
The scammer's end goal is financial. That's it.
Okay.
End of story. And I think that's where and whether that'll be whether it be an investment portfolio, whether they will try to lead you down that, whether it'll be just money, whether it'll be money laundering as you becoming a money mule, whether it be just gift cards. So their end goal will always be financial destruction. That's it, manipulation. And it's clinical and that's as down the path as I can lead it. They want nothing more than that.
Yeah. So, like, that's your mum, but she's 76. Like, have you had younger people get scammed in terms of like 30, 40-year-olds get scammed in dating?
My youngest has been 50.
Oh, wow.
So that's been my youngest. And I think, Beck, the concern I have is it has there's so much shame attached to it from the victim's perspective. But also family and friends tend to lay judgment towards a victim as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, they keep this, you know, being a victim, they keep it quiet. And I mean, any age group, I've just been looking at information in the UK, that younger age group, you know, that 30s, they're getting scammed more as victims of romance scams than the 30-year-olds here. That's reported.
Wow.
You know, and that's what I've got to say. It's what's actually being reported. Our age group is the older, you know, over 65. Yeah. So anybody can be victim of a romance scam.
Yeah. I remember having a client, she's now married with a baby, thank goodness, but she got scammed while she was working with me almost. It was a guy and she was young, I'm going to say 25. At the time, never had a relationship, so this was all very new to her. So she didn't know what to look for in terms of like, are they real, not real? And he was sending her videos of him crying and somehow faked himself doing this, using her name, asking for money because he wanted to call her. Like, it was very sneaky and seemed so real because all he wanted was like $20 for him to call her because he was stuck in Afghanistan and he really wanted to chat and he didn't have credit on his phone and she fell for it totally.
100%.
Yeah.
And look, and they're master manipulators. So this is and I think what we have to realize is that the scammers, this is their job. They train for this. This is not something that they just get up one day. I mean, you know, there are people out there that do that, but when we're talking, you know, we're now talking crime syndicate scenarios now. So we are talking about trading information. So, you know, it's like, sharing a hammer type thing. You're handing over the tools of their trade. They're handing it to the next person. So they learn from everything they do. They learn from victims and they learn. And even when victims don't report, we need to know that because we need to learn what the scammers are saying to them. It's that, we need to get on top of it because the scammers, they're learning more and more and more. And we're needing the victims to then say, well, okay, I want to share my story. I want people to understand what happened to me. And I want us to say, good on you. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done for sharing your story because your story is really important.
100%. I always say once I hit 40 is when I started to get scammed, not on online dating because I'm married, but the last 6 months, I had 2 calls, and this makes sense now with what you're saying because I wonder if they were even in the same call center or knew each other because when one of them didn't work, the next guy did it, and they almost got me because they sent me through because I said, how would I know you from Amazon? What they did was add a phone to my Amazon cart, then call me and say, you've been scammed, and pretend they're from Amazon and pretend that someone else added this phone to your Amazon account. Wow. And then they sent me a code from Amazon from a number that I've got from Amazon before. So I was like, oh yeah, Amazon sent me this code before. Must be from Amazon. So I was so close to even downloading a share. I'm like, I look back now and I'm like, what? I downloaded this share screen sharing app, and I was about to share my screen with him when I went, the email address that came up from him in the shit was Gmail, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. But he got me all the way to that point where I was like almost about to share my information with him. It's just, they're getting so good.
Oh, that's it. And this is where it's nearly, and it sounds awful to say, trust nobody. Unless you know people, just, if someone rings you, if someone rings you from now on, and I've got myself into trouble because I've accused somebody they were a scammer and they weren't. And that was the ATO. Okay. So and I was really nasty to this person, and I did apologise later when I rang back.
That's all right. They should know it's your business.
mate, I just thought you were a scammer. But I've been scammed. I bought a computer screen off a website, and I received this fake bangle, and I have it hanging up in my office because I go, that was an $80 fake bangle because I got scammed online, So anyone can be a scam victim. Yeah. The saddest part about online dating and romance, it's not only financial, it's that emotional attachment too. Yeah. And it sounds awful, but there is a deadly side to it too, because people then fall into such a dark hole that they can't get themselves out of, which is another element that is heartbreaking.
Particularly in an area, right, where you're saying trust no one. And part of my work is trust more people, let them in, and open your heart, and they're like, I could get scammed. And
I know, it's terrible, isn't it? Yeah. But I say, unless I can touch somebody, I've met you in the physical form. Yes. So I know you're real. Yes. And that's all I say to everybody. Touch them. Please don't say that they're not going to be awful people in the end, but at least if you've, shaken their hand or whatever, that they're real in body and blood, basically. They're not a virtual, a virtual friend. And I suppose that's our problem, is that we were so happy in COVID to do everything virtually that we just accept that. And that's what's happening with online dating we're accepting that. And with deep fake, we're floating down a creek without a paddle because they're getting better at it. I want everybody to find love. I want everybody to date. I want everybody to do that. Why not? Everyone deserves love and companionship. That's important.
Yeah. And your beautiful mother is proof of that you can be scammed and still be okay.
You're still going to be, and you will be okay. Yeah. I think you just got to have that support network around you. And it's like anything. And I suppose you'd say that to people online dating. When you go online dating, don't do it in secret. Tell somebody, whether it be your best friend or your mother or whatever, say, listen, I'm going to go online dating. Maybe one afternoon with a Chardonnay, go through and flick it through and go, he looks good or she looks good. And then, so they know, so it's not in secret.
Yeah, totally. So do you have tips then if they're not going to spot via photos now, because maybe photos are getting really good with AI and stuff, when the conversation starts happening, what should people look out for to think, oh, that's a red flag, I could be getting scammed here? Like what are they doing? I just want to quickly pause the episode here to tell you about my upcoming free Love Unlocked Masterclass. Maybe the reason you haven't found love is because you feel you aren't worthy of love you deserve. And I'm here to tell you that you are, and I want to give you the steps on how you can start loving yourself first to attract that worthy love into your life. In the masterclass, I cover 3 steps straight away, which are uncovering past patterns, understanding emotional needs, and learning how to communicate and set boundaries to amplify your self-worth. Details can be found in the show notes, and I cannot wait to see you there.
So I'm currently online talking to a scammer. So I was on the dating app, and within 24 hours, the scammer had me off the app and onto WhatsApp. Okay. So he's taken me straight off onto a messaging platform.
Okay.
So they are now in control. So he is in construction and building. So he's just busy. So the big thing is if they've got a business overseas too, so he will in a very short period of time say to me, I've got to go overseas for a contract. And that's going to be his way of saying that we can't meet up. And I think that's that big thing. I always like people to meet up quite quickly, just too. To confirm, yes, that they're body and blood, and, their head's not spinning on a 360 axis and all that sort of stuff, but meet up in, I don't care, a coffee shop, a library, don't care. But if they can't do that, that is a red flag.
Yeah, it's a red flag anyway, hey? Like they could be in a relationship or something if they're not going to meet up with you. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. There you go. They're having an affair and whatever. So for me, that's a really big thing, that moving from the dating platform onto WhatsApp or Telegram, whatever, even Gmail at some point, that they're taking control, because then, you can't then report them to the dating app to say, I'm now talking to a scammer, because you're off the dating app now.
Yes, right. What about him makes you feel like he's a scammer? Like how do you know?
One I'm talking to?
Yeah.
So here, the photo belongs to a person in Europe. So it's not, what's his name? I don't even know what this bloke's name. Isn't that terrible? I don't even know what his name is. This one is, can't tell you.
Like a celebrity image?
This is Richard. So Richard is so this is Rich. Oh, well, you won't be able to see it. So this is, I don't know whether we're going to, so this is Richard.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yep. He looks like a kind gentleman, everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and that's what I do, is I make sure that they are fake before I start. I certainly am not going to ever do anything with someone that's legitimate. That's not my purpose. And then I've reported him. So, I'll try to go through, 5 a week at least, or maybe 10 a week, like try to find 10 and then report them to get them off the dating platforms. And it's interesting, I can't say what dating platform is worse than any others. One, I don't want to get myself into trouble. That'd be the first thing. But there are, everyone's going to have fake profiles, because how are they verified? I got onto the dating app.
Yeah.
You haven't verified me through a passport. There's no,
but with Tinder, you have to, are you on Tinder?
No, I haven't done Tinder. Look, it's costing me a fortune to be on some of these dating apps. And I'm not looking for love. And I have to laugh, because sometimes you'll see me and I'll be at the coffee shop or on the train, and I'm on Match.com or, Plenty of Fish or whatever. I think, what people are thinking? This woman is just on all these dating apps. So
come over someone to tell your husband, I've seen your wife on these apps.
Oh, actually, my husband said the other day, someone's going to see your photo and think you're having an affair. Yeah. I said, well, if they know who I am, they know what I'm doing anyway, and maybe ask me a question.
They'll be interested to see what they do, won't it?
Why is she on Match.com? She's married.
I believe, and I don't know, maybe my listeners can correct me, but I believe with Tinder you have to have ID that is linked to we have to upload proper photos. Because I thought, well, I was like, I'm going to do this, create this profile on there, and I couldn't do it. And I can't remember what held me up in the process of doing it, whether I didn't want my own photo on there or if it was the ID.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that would be interesting because I am seeing a lot of artificial created documentation now, passports, driver's licenses. So how is Tinder using that to identify? And for me, I think they have to be the gatekeeper. Like banks are now our gatekeeper to try to protect us from the scammers. Are the dating platforms gatekeepers for their customers? You know, should they do, okay, well, hi, I'm Kylie. Here's my passport. Move it around, then upload that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there capabilities for them to be able to use some form of technology to be able to protect, consumers?
Yeah. How can they make it safer? Yeah.
100%. And I think that's the end. That for me would be the end goal is that we are losing, if you look at it, 23, we lost over $200 million in romance scams in Australia. Wow. 200 million. Like that's mind blowing.
Wow.
So you think about that, then you think about not only the financial devastation, but the heartbreak. That breaks my heart because everyone's gone online to find a companion. And, you think about it, you don't go online going, oh, I can't wait to be scammed. This is excellent. Let's lose my house. Let's lose my livelihood. People are going on there to find somebody.
Yeah.
So for me, that's like $200 million.
Wow. What's the most you've known like one person to lose?
$500,000.
Holy cow.
$500,000.
I can't even comprehend how this even happens. Like, how little information do you need to give them for them to take that much money from you?
But this is over a significant period of time.
Oh, kept giving them money.
Yeah. So let's say, like building a wall, it's one layer at a time. Mm-hmm. So it is coercive control. It's all about language. So she had no reason to believe that this person was not who he said he was. Mm. So over a period of time, we're going to invest in this, this platform. We're going to invest in, this money. We're going to create this. We're going to create a life for ourselves. And you can see over that period of time a return on paper, return on investment. So that's how that happens. So it's not like one day, here is $500,000, I want that. It takes time. And that's what they use. They use, because they have time and they know, because they have gained all your most intimate thoughts, what you like, hate. So that's their building blocks to say, well, this is how I'm now going to obtain this from that person. And that's how, and I think that's where people find it really hard to understand. It's not that they wake up one day and just hand over their cat. That's not how it happens. So it, takes more than just, hi, give me some money.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is.
I can understand why it's so hard to comprehend if it's not happened to you, but also I suppose like in my head, I keep thinking like, when you're invested a little bit in something, you feel like then you've got skin in the game. So you're like, do I keep going with this or do I like pull back or like, and it's sometimes hard to get away from that when you're in. So is it easier to just keep going, particularly when you believe it's going to work? Obviously you don't believe they're a scammer. You believe that you're in love and that you're going to make these promises together. And
I like that. I think when you're saying you've got skin in the game, you're absolutely right, is that they are thinking, well, but this person is real. Like at what point would they be thinking that, a victim would be thinking that this person's fake? Yeah. They're not thinking that because this person, you think about this person, we said that before, both our partners, we had similarities. That's why you hook up with them. So they've been able to find out everything that you like and they like similar things. So why are you thinking that the person that you're talking to online is fake or is a scam? You're not thinking that. So I believe humans are really kind. We are kind people. So why would we think anything else then? That person is me 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it comes in. And I think when you said you hit the nail on the head, you've got skin in the game. Why am I not believing them to be true?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I tell a lot of clients to have a phone call as soon as possible with the person. Can they scam you in the phone call? Could they somehow pretend that they're not, or that I wonder if I'm offering a suggestion that is not useful to people.
No, because what a red flag would be there is, no, I can't talk. Well, why can't you talk? Why can't you talk? You can text me. Why can't you talk on the phone? And I think that's really important. I mean, look, we've got voice cloning out there. There's just so much other bits and pieces. But if you're talking, and I suppose I use this as an example, and my mum said it to me. She said, when I spoke to Donald, right, and Donald was a Caucasian Australian man, right? But she said, reflecting back, he had an accent that didn't depict him being who he said he was. So if you're talking to somebody on the phone and they have an accent, but they have got a photo that depicts, a Caucasian man or whatever, depicts somebody, and that tone does not match the photo, you've got a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder if you could hear them in, when I got scammed from these people, I heard them in call centers. There was a lot of people talking in that one center. Because I remember I kept trying to hear what the other people were saying on the other calls, because I was like, hang on, this is how I'll know.
But that's it. That's 100% right. And let's say that they're not in a call center. They're not going to be on that phone for very long.
Yeah.
They want to flip this really quickly. It's the same when they do videos. They're going to flip this really quickly.
Yeah.
So, and there's so much other technology, and we could talk about superimposed faces onto, still photos and all that sort of stuff. But they're not going to be spending hours on end talking to you. Yeah. And if they do, that's when you're starting to go, I need to listen to this. This doesn't, and if they're a pilot, how can they be talking to you at 2:00 in the morning? That's another thing. If they're working on an oil rig, they don't seem to be working, or so this dude that I'm talking to, this scammer that I'm talking to now, well, he's texting me at 2:00 in the morning. Well, I know that he is either in a scam center in Myanmar or he's in Nigeria or somewhere. I know that he's not in Parramatta. I know that because he's not texting at 2:00 in the morning, and he's not answering texts now. So he's asleep. You know what I mean? So that's, or he's scamming other people.
Yeah, fascinating. Okay, so we kind of know what to look for. What does someone do if they get scammed? What should they do?
Look, I think if you've been scammed, financially scammed, you have to report it.
Yep.
You have to report it.
To the police?
I want you to report it to either ScamWatch, if your identification's been taken, ID Care, New South Wales Police, cyber.gov. Report it to somebody.
Okay.
So that is the first thing that you need to do. Don't do any investment. Do not, under any circumstances. If it seems too good to be true, it's going to be too good to be true. Don't give away your money. Don't tap into your super. Don't do any of that. Report it. And I don't care if it's $10 or $100,000. It's really important that we get that information. And unfortunately, everything is just, excluding ID Care, everything is just an online report.
Okay.
So it's not clinical.
Yep.
ID Care do a really good job. They will ring you back, especially when it comes down to losing your, identification, your passport, your Medicare card, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. We have to, one, tell somebody, tell a family member, a friend or somebody, and please don't be nasty to them when they tell you, and then report it.
Yeah. What about if they've got nothing from you, but you realise that they're a scammer? Should they be reporting it to the dating app?
Yeah, look, 100%. Always report it to the dating app. Okay. Always. If you can track down that photo, report that to the dating app. 100%. If you've got let's say it's, I don't know, Tinder, because I'm not on Tinder, but let's say it's Tinder, for example, they've got all the regulations in place. Make sure you get the photo, the information, the phone number, and report it to them so they can remove remove them from the dating platform. And even that doesn't even matter if they're not a scam and they're just a really awful person.
Totally.
Report them.
Yeah, totally.
We don't want to be treated like pieces of garbage.
Yeah, for sure. This is why Bumble did so good initially, because I believe she used to work at Tinder very high up, and she started Bumble, and she was very good at removing men that were sending inappropriate messages and like asking for stuff that was not okay. Like they removed those men very, very quickly from the app. So they got a lot of respect from women for that.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And look, I have to say, please don't take photos, don't send photos, don't do anything like that. I think that's really important because there's just so much awfulness out there now that, within the dating world with scammers, that I want us to respect, to look after us.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That is, your heart is really important.
Yeah.
Look after you.
Yeah. And so I suppose this is kind of the same question, but if you notice, like I've had friends and actually a client whose photos have been used for other people's profiles. Like, do they do the same thing? They report that and say like, that's me, like, or it's blah, blah, blah.
That is me.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because if you've got a digital footprint out there, your photos are out there.
Yeah.
I mean, my photo has been used on a pet dating app, not for
Not for dogs to date.
As I said that out loud, it doesn't sound right.
That'll be my next job, dating coach for dogs.
Yeah, when I actually, it sounded better in my head than it did when it came out. It's people who have got pets that want to date.
Oh, this is cool. I actually don't know about this, but I have a lot of clients that have pets.
I have no idea. So I just happened to one day and I went, that's my face. It's on this dating. And I didn't log on and whatever.
Wow.
But that's because I put my face on Match.com or whatever. So they've stolen my photo, which was 25 years ago, looks nothing like me at all, and have used that on a dating app, which is really sad. But if you've got a digital footprint, your photo's out there. You have to make everything private, which makes it really hard for us because we've got businesses and our face is out there all the time. So it's a bit of an issue.
I mean, it's when I was first when I wanted to set up an app profile, I wanted to set up as a male and go on there and talk to women to see what they were to support them in that way. But it felt, as I was setting up, it asked for a photo and I felt even weird. I went to the process of like Googling a photo and when I was going to put it and I was like, that's someone else's image. I felt so yucky about it. I was like, I can't do this. I can't pretend to be someone else. This is so odd. And so I backed out.
So funny.
I don't know how these people do it.
I've used my husband's photo.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I
would never agree to that.
I don't think he had much. It was sort of like a side profile shot one day. We were on holidays and I just went, that'll do. Tang, I've taken a photo. It's black and white, honey. I'm just using you. You're now Robert. It's all good. Don't worry about it. I'm not talking to anybody, just so you know. But and it is hard because you sort of go on and, I've been kicked off dating apps, which I have laughed. They've kicked me off. And I thought, but I'm there to try to get rid of all the scammers.
Yeah.
So it's a funny thing. And I know people aren't going to agree with what I'm doing and that's actually okay.
Yeah.
But if I can remove 10 photos a week off a dating app that's fake, 10, 20, 30, 100 women or men that aren't going to fall victims.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how I look at it.
Yeah.
And just do my best to try to identify who is fake.
Yeah.
And I know that they've stolen because I see the same photo on different apps or I've had ones of a man who died in 2019 in a plane crash in Texas and they've used his photo.
Wow.
So you know damn well that he is not on the dating app because he's deceased.
Wow.
Joe Hockey, our Joe Hockey, our politician Joe Hockey, they've used his photo. Well, I know when I saw that photo, that's not Joe, the name they used was Peter. Well, Joe Hockey's not on a dating app. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean? So you go along and you say, report. You know.
Wow. I think you're doing amazing work. This is so needed. Sounds like a bit of fun. I feel like I want to go in there and do it.
It is, yeah. Look, it's purposeful.
And what, like, have you got any other tips for people, like, if to look out for scams, to prevention tips, I suppose? Do you have anything else that you haven't shared that you think would be useful?
No, not. I just don't want you to. I want everyone to get out there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want you to date in secret. I want you to tell somebody that you're doing it. You know, and don't be hard on yourself. I think that's the hardest thing. If you are a victim, that's okay. All of us will be a victim of a scam in one point in our life.
Yeah.
You know, don't be hard on yourself. And please, and I get so frustrated. I get tired of people being nasty to people that are victim of any scam. But romance scam for me has an element of broken heart, love that's just, you know, gone by the wayside because, and these people are online because they've had a whatever, you know, divorce, whatever.
Yeah.
And people are so hard on them. So just be kind to yourself and be kind to the victims of the romance scams.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, you're going to become a scam victim yourself.
Yeah.
And one may actually need somebody to show a bit of empathy.
Yep. You know, 5,000%. Yeah, amazing. How does everyone find you? What's your magic? How do they work with you? What happens? Tell me everything.
I can you can just go into either any, you know, Instagram, my webpage or whatever. I do a bit of anything. We can just talk.
Yep.
You can if you sort of know that you're a victim and you haven't shared your story, tell me your story. Because your story I get to tell other people. Yep. And then maybe your story then helps somebody else. So that for me is, you know, your story is important. You know, anything like that. If you're a family member or an auntie and uncle that's concerned, look, all you have to do is reach out and we take it from there.
Yeah, amazing.
You just never know how we can help somebody from not handing over their life savings. And just don't give anybody any money. I don't care how important the story sounds. Don't.
Yeah.
Please.
5,000%. All the links will be in the show notes, everyone. Thank you so much, Kylie. It was beautiful to talk to you and feel like you're saving people from dating scams one profile at a time.
One profile at a time, yes. Yay!
Thank you.
Thanks, Beck.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you got value from this, please don't hesitate to share with a friend so they can get value from this too. And don't forget to hit follow so you don't miss an episode. It's also how I keep this podcast alive.
Audience exclusive.